Coming up on NEWS2, budget hearings for fiscal year 2016 continues. The Senate committee hears testimony from VI Fire Service, OMB, and Office of Veterans Affairs. A St. Croix activist is calling on senators to take action on the Lonesome Dove settlement and find out just what the government owns. Plus, there's some lights, cameras, and action stirring up on the Big Island. Find out why a TV production crew from the Travel Channel is on St. Croix. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of NEWS2. I'm Sandra Singh. Topping our newscast, the Senate Finance Committee continues to hear testimonies from government departments on the 2016 budget. On Thursday, the Virgin Islands Fire Services, led by Acting Director Eugene Farrell, and fire chiefs from both districts not only defended their budget, but also shared their current woes. NEWS2's April Knight has details from that hearing.
A shrinking budget, a shortage of personnel, and even a lack of fire hydrants. These are only some of the problems that surfaced during the Fire Services budget hearing on Thursday. Fire Services needs $16.3 million this year. That's about 20% less than 5 years ago. They've also been losing staff, on average 8 people a year, with no replacements over the last 8 years. And it's taking a toll on morale.
The morale has dropped greatly. Basically, we can't do nothing.
So the men have been complaining about shortage.
They did include $1.5 million in overtime, money that senators say can be used to hire more people instead. Lawmakers also urge fire service officials to take advantage of the thousands of business inspections they do every year, which have a real potential to spike revenue for fire services. Currently, a mom-and-pop shop pays the same amount of money as a 4-star hotel for fire inspections, a $150 flat rate.
I don't think a small business that has 2 persons working for it should pay $150, and a hotel should pay $150, regardless of the fact that you have that time differential, because clearly that time differential isn't making a big difference.
Senators also raised the possibility of removing fire services from under the governor's office and becoming its own department. Reporting for NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
The fire service is also looking to secure some $19 million total to rebuild the Grove Place, Coral Bay, and Fortuna fire stations. A St. Croix activist is calling on senators to take action on the Lonesome Dove settlement and find out just what the government owes. Percival Edwards addressed the Rotary Club West in St. Croix Tuesday night, and he said that they were concerned that not much is known about that settlement. NEWS2's Erica Parsons has the story.
I think we need to find out exactly what the VA government have in these states here and how we can benefit from it.
Local activist Percival Edwards is calling on the community to lobby the 31st legislature to take action on the Lonesome Dove petroleum settlement.
Lonesome Dove had its headquarters in Charlotte, Mali, but it had its company in California, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Montana, North Dakota, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming.
The VI government won its tax case against Lonesome Dove for what it owed in the 80s. The territory was awarded the oil, gas, and mineral leases as payment. That has generated roughly $1 million a year to the VI. Former Governor John DeYoung requested a bill to create a public corporation to hold the company's assets, but vetoed the bill senators proposed. Senators in turn amended the bill to put the assets under GERS.
When they put the GRS to manage the fund, Governor DeYoung then vetoed it and said that the federal government will tax that money too much, and so it's better to go to the VA government. Why do the people of the Virgin Islands do not put it as a public corporation that we can have shares and stocks in all of this oil and gas and minerals from Lonesome Dove?
Lawmakers have been in hearings all day, but a staffer from Senator Clifford Graham's office confirmed that they are fine-tuning the bill before reintroducing it to the 31st legislature. Edwards says rather than focus on the Red Mud settlement and the possibility of Hovensa restarting, senators need to find out just what assets the government owns with Lonesome Dove.
We are calling on the 31st legislature to step up to the place when it comes to public policy and implement a program, an initiative to address Lonesome Dove.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Department of Licensing and Consumer officials aren't saying what government agency might be in trouble over licensing violations. DLCA issued a statement Friday saying that they met with officials from that agency and had a very productive meeting. The unnamed department had several contractors working for them who failed to get VI business licenses as required by law. Some of those contractors also failed to register their job vacancies with the Department of Labor, which is also a legal requirement. Because of the meeting, a system has been developed to make sure violators and non-local businesses are following the law. In other news, Senator Marvin Blyden fires back at critics who called him out on his statement on Senate record that female police officers were timid and don't get respected. Blyden cites that he has family members who are female police officers and recently organized a fundraiser honoring 4 women. The senator did say he might have misspoken.
I believe I misspoke. I basically meant it's intimidating when female officers find themselves in certain situations. And I made it very clear, I was not speaking as in terms of them not being trained, not being prepared, but I was saying at times it's intimidating. And I do not like to see female officers out there by themselves late at night, etc. So I'm basically looking out for them. The amount of retirees we have when it comes to police officers and male individuals not passing a test. So based on a trend, in a year, 2 years from now, we will have an all-female police force. And what does that say about us?
Well, if you know something, say something to help solve a crime. That's the reminder from Crime Stoppers. You may also earn a reward in the process. Looking over to St. Croix on November 9, 2002, the body of 17-year-old Stephanie Paris of Castleburg was found on the ground a few feet from a black Nissan Altima in that area. A second body, that of 19-year-old Dale Robertson of Morningstar, was found shot to death inside that same heavily tinted Altima. Over on St. John on Wednesday, May 20th at about 9:50 a.m., officers were dispatched to Steinworks in the Estate Carolina area. The owner stated that the store was locked and secured on May 19th about 4 p.m. When reopened on May 20th at 9 a.m., it was discovered that the stolen items were several pieces of rare jewelry, many of which contained both silver and gold, along with gold scraps. The value of the jewelry is over $10,000. On St. Thomas on April 25th at 10:15 a.m., while opening the famous Delight business, which is the former St. Thomas Dairies, a man was approached by an armed perpetrator, police say, who was wearing all black and a black mask and was forced to get down on the floor. Another male, also wearing all black with a black mask, assisted as the lookout. Over $85 was stolen. The perpetrators took off on feet. Call Crime Stoppers if you have any information that can assist. That's 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, 3 bundles of joy were delivered at the Schneider Regional Medical Center. Crystal Augustine proudly gave birth to 3 healthy baby boys around 11:40 a.m. this morning. The boys came into the world weighing about 5 pounds each, according to proud dad Jason Donovan. The couple has 3 other children, 2 girls and a boy. Donovan says mom is resting comfortably after being in labor for about an hour. Human Services Acting Commissioner Vivian Evison-Flood said the department is requesting alternative remedies to the decision of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to terminate its provider agreement with the Seaview Nursing Home. This request, she said, would mean that payments from CMS would continue and allow the submission of a plan and timetable for corrective action. Seaview had recently received a decertification letter that worried many local leaders. Evison-Flood said her department is working with the governor's office, Seaview, and the health department to resolve that situation. Senator Myron Jackson is calling on the VI Waste Management Authority for more timely removal of garbage. According to Jackson, mechanical failures affecting garbage hauling trucks has the performance of garbage haulers contracted by WMA unacceptable by 21st century standards. The senator cites garbage bins across St. Thomas being filled to overcapacity and residents being forced to place their garbage on the ground near the dumpster instead. The problem spells trouble for tourism, according to the senator, and alternative efforts are necessary to address it. Waste Management has mentioned in the past that they have had problems with residents disposing of commercial waste, large items such as appliances and yard waste at the bin sites, which are only meant for household items, and that this problem contributes to the overflow. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As you can see, the Dow up 38, NASDAQ up 5, S&P also up at 3. Coming up on NEWS2, this woman has some important advice on how you can avoid being a victim of a Ponzi scheme, how she lost her money, and what you can do to protect yourself. That's coming up. There's some lights, camera, and action stirring up on the Big Island. Find out why a TV production crew from the Travel Channel is on the Big Island. Well, a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter could be seen circling over the Shalinamali Harbor Thursday. The distinctive orange and white chopper was seen mid-morning from most of Veterans Drive. It continued circling for a couple of hours and was gone. The purpose of the flyby was unclear, but it was seen hovering over a large gray vessel located farther away from the shore. NEWS2's calls to the Coast Guard San Juan sector were not returned by news time. The West Indian Company Limited will be hosting some workshops on St. Thomas and St. Croix for those interested in starting or expanding a cruise or tourism industry-related business. 2 entrepreneurial training workshops are scheduled. The St. Thomas St. John workshop will be held from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Monday, June 29th at the University of the Virgin Islands Administrative Building. The St. Croix workshop is scheduled from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, June 30th at the UVI Great Hall. Participants are encouraged to register early since space is limited. You can call WICO for more information. Well, that mural that you just saw, the entrance to Scion Farm, got a facelift thanks to one young man who was home for a visit. The Free Will National Honor Society asked Victor Cepeda to paint a mural of the area they adopted. It took Cepeda, he said, 35 hours to paint the mural.
They told me, hey, we want you to represent Scion Farm, yet St. Croix at the same time, in the same image. I decided to include the windmill because it's, I think, one of the most important parts of what represents Scion Farm here. And, well, St. Croix, you know, a piece of St. Croix, Buck Island, everybody knows where Buck Island is. So I put a piece of Buck Island and the nice, colorful green hills that St. Croix has.
You know, my son, to me, has been a blessing. He knows that I support him 100% or even beyond that. And I encourage not just him, but all the parents who have talented kids like Victor to please support your kids, you know, to do what they want.
Congratulations. Great job there. Now, summer is in the air, of course, and while some camps on St. Croix have already begun, you still have some time to register with the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation. They have camps starting June 29th for children ages 6 to 15.
The summer camps range in sports from tennis to soccer to basketball, baseball, and marine sports, which includes swimming, fishing, kayaking, and snorkeling, boxing, and softball. This year, we have 6 sites that we're offering. We have summer camps operating in DC Conagata, Scion Farm, Estate Profit, Grove Place, and Vincent Mason Pool.
Great job there. And we will be sharing some of the other summer camps that you can look at as options. Well, throughout the week, the Travel Channel has been on the Big Island shooting Travel Channel Reel St. Croix. The Shoreline restaurant at Cheney Bay hosted a party Wednesday night for the Travel Channel. There was live music, dancing, and a performance by the Flaming Gypsies provided as a backdrop for the Travel Channel crew, who have clearly enjoyed their experience on the Big Island.
Well, this is my first time in St. Croix, and I will definitely be coming back because between the most amazing people I've ever met, some of the most incredible diving I've ever done, the horseback riding, and really just the overall magic of this place, you can't just come once.
It's kind of a place that feels like home to me, so I love shooting here. It's easy.
Well, St. John Festival events We've kicked off with Panorama last Saturday in Cruz Bay, and coming up this Saturday at 8 a.m., it's the Festival Bike Race at the VI National Park. Sunday, it's the Princess Pageant, and that will be held at the Winston Wells Ball Field in Cruz Bay. And here are the contestants there: Layla, Sanesia, Sage, and Tasia. Well, then, it's the Queens competition. The Queens hit the stage to compete the following weekend on June 20th at 8 p.m. Contestants are number 1, Kaylee Jackson; contestant number 2, Lakeisha Hendrickson; contestant number 3, Chanel Harney; contestant number 4, Yaritza Tirado; and contestant number 5, Keisha Campbell. Jehovah's Witnesses have begun their annual convention on Friday, June 12th, and continues to the 14th at the Assembly Hall in North Carlton Road, Frederiksted, starting at 9:20 a.m. They extend a warm invitation for all to attend. The theme for this year's program is Imitate Jesus. The convention will examine Jesus' life, and all can benefit from his example and teachings. Now, it started this weekend, and it continues for the next 3 weeks. In attendance will be visitors from Tortola, Virgin Gorda, St. Thomas, St. John, Puerto Rico, and some from the States. The last of the 3 conventions, which is from June 26th to the 28th, will be in Spanish. You can call 340-513-9149 for more information, and the program is free. Well, he was her boss and her trusted financial advisor, but in the end, he turned out to be a con man who stole millions from her and others. Here is our consumer alert.
We were given no reason as to why. He told us we had to remove all of our personal belongings and be out by the end of the day, leave the key, don't answer the telephones, and don't unlock the door.
This is how Melissa Weitz found out her boss, Jason Muskie, was closing his office and she was losing her job. The financial service company's abrupt closure was just the beginning of Melissa's nightmare. A letter from Muskie told the rest of the story.
Muskie Financial Services. It is under investigation by the United States Secret Service, and if you have any questions, to contact my attorney. Shock of my life. Because at that point, I realized that something had been done with the investments that I had made with Jason Muskie.
Melissa lost $50,000, but that wasn't the worst part.
Not only did he take from me, he took from my mother, and that's what is so difficult to get past.
Her mother, recently widowed and suffering from cardiac problems, was living on a fixed income.
He was a man who came into our home, who sat at our kitchen table, and who heard my mother's story.
The money Melissa's mother had been saving for almost 40 years was gone.
We found out that he had taken her money several months after she invested it, and all the statements were fraudulent, and everything was fraudulent.
In all, Muskie stole $2 million from 26 victims.
He targeted very specific people, people who he thought wouldn't fight back, couldn't fight back. Maybe he thought because of the friendships that, you know, we would just let it go.
Postal inspectors say Muskie used the money to invest in a semi-pro football team, extravagant vacations, and multiple homes. Officials say over a 7-year span, he was running a Ponzi scheme.
When they would ask for payouts from time to time, he would steal from other clients to pay the client where he already stole their money.
Until the bottom fell out. Inspectors say, do your research. Melissa learned that lesson the hard way.
He had a personal bankruptcy back in 2005 or 2006, and that would have been a red flag for me to say, if this gentleman can't manage his own finances, then I'm not going to allow him to finance mine.
Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.